Cricbuzz Chatter, Australia versus India, day two of this test match. And the first thing that struck me today as I opened the curtains was bright day, no rain. Forecast said rain, but it kept away. And we saw three outstanding players put in fantastic performances. An emotional, hard fought 100 from Steve Smith. At times, he didn't look like the Steve Smith we know. Then Travis Head coming and doing Travis Head versus India things, and Jasprit Bumrah, who is making it very difficult for people to find new words to say about him. So that's where you are. Australia went on to make 405 for 7. They were 28 for no loss yesterday. Dinesh Karthik joins us. And DK, you know your cricket, you know everything about the game, but have you got a dictionary to talk about Jasprit Bumrah?
No, Harsha, I was just thinking as you're giving the intro saying that if Harsha Bhogle ke difficult ante, what will Dinesh Karthik do? You just new on the job. You're the wordsmith here. And for a man like you, if you're running short of superlatives to explain what he is doing,
Okay, so let me crack a bad joke. If I today was not about the wordsmith, today was about Steve Smith. Okay, now that's gone. Okay, that's
and now
gone.
the show continues.
Yes, yes, it can.
But it was a
Uh,
day
yeah.
when I feel three young, I don't like to use this term, but I think will soon to be legends. So Steven Smith is already a legend, but the other two are slowly getting into that space where you feel eventually when they finish, we will call them legends, isn't it? And it stood out the way they are playing. Quite phenomenal.
You know, Travis Head came in when Australia was scoring at about 2.1, 2.2 and over. Bumrah was bowling well. Akash did everything. I often use the parallel of saying the outside edge had one North Pole, the ball had one North Pole, they were repelling each other. He did everything. I thought he bowled really well. But there is something extra that a bowler possesses to take a wicket. Maybe he still doesn't have it or didn't have it today. But Australia was struggling. There was a lot of talk about whether it's the right decision to bat first or bowl first. At 50 for 2, 75 for 3, it didn't look such a bad call. Then Travis Head came in and hit 150 at run a ball. And it's interesting that this was in every test match that he scores 100, Australia win. He's just got this ability to take the game away. And DK, I thought he did two things there, Travis Head. One is he hit all around the ground. He was the only one willing to have a second option against Bumrah. He was not only surviving, he was saying, there's a bad ball, I'll take on Bumrah as well. Uh, we left that area open for him. He got a lot of runs in that square area. He always does in any case, but he got a lot of runs in that square area. But he also took a lot of pressure away from Steve Smith
Yeah.
because Smith was struggling. Make no mistake, Smith was struggling. He took all the pressure off him.
Yeah. First of all, Harsha, I want to give a little bit of a round of applause to our graphic designer. I just remember the 1990s, 1992s when series used to happen in Australia. This is how the graphics used to look. Greg Chappell and all of them were batting. This is how it looked. I quite enjoyed it. Old school, but there is nothing old about the way Travis Head bats. He bats in a very Gen Z, millennial, new age test cricket kind of way. And I always feel playing at that tempo, Asha, you need two things. A, an enormous amount of skill. B, a lot of mental resilience. Because when you fail, the default mechanism is to go to something that people are used to, which will be leaving a ball, all of those things, the ones that we are used to. He seems to bat the modern way, but he's so consistent doing it. He really, if at the end of Rohit Sharma's career, when he finishes his test, one day, whatever, and you ask him as a captain who was the one that he hated the most, I think Travis Head will be there at the top of that list, be it the World Cup final, be it the World Test Championship final, and be what's happening today. It's just quite phenomenal to think that he has found his area of expertise, which people felt was Test cricket, and then blossomed into other formats as well. But today, purely as a Test batter, the tempo at which he plays, the kind of shots at which he plays, and you were speaking just before the show started about Ian Chappell discussing or writing an article saying, what is it that India is going to do against the head? And honestly, as we sit here, I don't think they know much, Harsha, because he is batting so well and he is putting away good balls. They're not able to set attacking fields because he's finding the boundaries too easily. And even if you see the wagon wheel, he's almost scored runs all around. When he just started or when he made a comeback, he was a very much an offside player. There were two areas of vulnerability where the one that came back in and the bouncer. But he's just been so good in dealing with his negatives. But making sure your positives remain as strong as ever, and he's never let go of that. And that is so hard to do as a batter or as a sportsman itself, to be able to understand areas where you're vulnerable, but make sure your strengths are getting so strong that people are not able to expose your vulnerabilities. And Travis Head has been a great example or an exponent of doing that in his cricketing career so far.
You talked about Gen Z, millennial, new approach. There's one stat about Travis Head that our people at Fox gave us, which was very interesting. In the last 700s that he has scored, he has left 65 balls. That's it. Across the 700s, he's left 65 balls. And he said, just to put that in perspective, in a short career, Nathan McSweeney has left 78 balls. He doesn't leave balls. He doesn't leave balls. And I think that is because he's confident, because he's constantly positive. He's thinking of scoring all the time. So his first instinct, a bit like Sehwag, a bit like some of the others, is can I hit the ball? Only if I can't hit the ball can I then either stop it or leave it, which is a very interesting approach that requires great skill, but also requires a certain amount of a certain kind of temperament, because with that approach there will be days when you will get out. But you talked about India, you talked about Rohit Sharma. I mean, when he plays against India, his numbers are very different from when he plays against other teams. And it's not that he's a bad player. Against other teams, he's got 63 innings and averages 41. Most days you take an average of 41 from a middle order player. Against India, it's 52. And well, the strike rate is fairly similar. That's what he is. But that strike rate of 66, we didn't see that today. Today he was striking at almost 100. So there's something. I mean, most players have one team that they like, another team that they don't like. But the approach against Travis Head, now that is something that's been discussed a lot. What could India have done any better? Could Rohit Sharma have changed the field? Could Rohit Sharma have attacked a little bit more? Did India let the game drift against Travis Head? So I thought we'll look at that question in our hotspot section and try and see whether anything else could have happened, and then we look at Steve Smith, because that was in some ways the more interesting innings of all. But since we are on Travis Head, let's go into hotspot first. Okay, here is our hotspot question. I'm going to word this very gently. That is why I'm actually reading out the question that has been drafted. India bowled well in the first session, but seemed a little bit in disarray when Travis Head and Smith were batting. Did Rohit Sharma lapse too much into defensive mode as captain? Did he just let the game drift a little bit? And did you see a plan against Travis Head? Because he scored so many runs against India, by now you must have a plan against him. Did you see that while you were watching the game?
First thing, I can understand why they are struggling to Travis Head, because of his areas of scoring. In Test cricket, the general thumb rule is bone on around fourth stump or hit top of off. And that is an actually, interestingly, unless it is a good ball, which basically means the ball is moved after pitching, then it becomes a good ball to a Travis Head. Otherwise, he's able to dispatch it away easily for a boundary if you're attacking, or if you have a deep point fielder, it takes that for a single. For a lot of people, what off stump or fourth stump is very close to their body. But for Travis Head, because he stays beside the line of the ball, he's able to use the square of the wicket. And that's why even if you see that wagon wheel, 63 runs were scored there. That ball, which is the general good ball for most batters, is a ball where it's a run scoring opportunity for him. Now, let's judge Rohit Sharma as being defensive or attacking a little later. But if you are Rohit Sharma, what do you look to do? You're trying to tell the bowler, okay, let's try and keep it as close to the stumps as possible. When you do that, you generally have lesser fielders on the leg side. So if you're going to attack, you generally, when we speak about attacking fielders, it's either three slips a gully or, expose the covers. You're not able to do that against a Travis Head, because when the bowler errs in line a little bit, he's able to put that away to a boundary. And what makes it easier to set a slightly more attacking field to Steven Smith is because he is a contemporary player, but he plays it in a very orthodox manner. Unless it is rightly pitched full or it is there for, the length is short, he doesn't put away the boundaries that easily. With Travis Head, because of the way he bats, he is troubling Team India. And that in turn, unless you have the skill set, and I have to bring this name in, somebody like a Bumrah who is able to control his length consistently and has a certain awkwardness about him, runs are going thick and fast. Then as a captain, the only immediate thought that occurs to you is, I don't want to give away boundaries, which basically means I'm going to become defensive. So when you ask this question, has Rohit Sharma been defensive? Yes, but it is a byproduct of the way Travis Head is batting. When we started the day, we saw three slips, a gully, at times even another catcher. But he's not able to do that against the Travis Head. Only Bumrah is able to give some sort of defensive bowling strategy. Otherwise, the other bowlers have found it really hard, and the gap between Bumrah and the rest of the bowlers are just becoming bigger and bigger with every passing day. He's bowled 25 overs, Harsha, out of the 92 overs. That's phenomenal. That's a lot of overs. Almost every 4 overs throughout the day, he's bowled one. And I'm sure you can see the difference, the way he started the day, the speeds, the lengths, to when he just came back after lunch. He's a human being. He dropped the pace a little bit. It wasn't the same because the body is obviously getting tired. Again, when the second new ball is given, he made it work. It is actually getting to a stage just like what you said, Harsha. Plan A seems to be Bumrah. Plan B seems to definitely be Bumrah. They don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Akashdeep bowled well today without too much luck. Siraj had his moments, not maybe his best day, but he had his moments. But see what happened with bowler 4 and 5. There's 29 overs there, about 30 overs there, and there's about 140 runs there. You're going at 4 point, the fifth bowler is going at about 4.9 to 5 runs an over. That too has come down a little bit. At one point, it was well over 5 and over. The job of the fourth and fifth bowler in situations like these, when your wicket taker is resting, if he takes a wicket, great, as Nitish Reddy did early on when he got the wicket of Labuschagne. But if your fourth and fifth bowlers are not taking wickets, they have to go at 3 and over, ideally. So if they have to go at 3 and over, I just thought, look, if you're not, either you're an aggressive captain who's got plans to take wickets, or you close a game down and say, okay, I won't let you get away with it. And that is, I think, what DK was referring to briefly about a captain getting defensive. It's coming for a lot of criticism around in Australian circles and everywhere about letting India go through. But I would much rather wait till the end of the test match to pass final judgment, because finally you have to see what both teams do in a game. So I'm happy to let that be for now. But I get the feeling sometimes, and I'm not an expert on this at all, that a bit like MS, sometimes in red ball cricket, Rohit, as the game drift, is happier in white ball cricket controlling the overs.
Interesting you say that. I did get that thought, especially against Steven Smith.
Hmm.
I felt at times they were giving away the odd single. If you do jog your mind back a little bit, memory back a little bit to the 2018 series, the one thing that they do is attack the stumps a lot and had a lot more fielders on the leg side. They haven't used that ploy as much, probably because they feel Australia would be ready, or when they've tried it for a wee bit, even in Perth and in Adelaide, they didn't get the success that they wanted. But the singles were coming rather easily for Steve Smith, and that's where I feel Rohit Sharma will go back and think, should I have done something a little differently there? That, I believe, is something that he would definitely reflect back on.
In fact, in our commentary, David Warner even suggested having a 7-2 field when you're bowling to Travis Head. But each person has his own thoughts. Travis Head's 100 took the game away from India. It was a good contest till Travis Head came in. It was also a good contest because Steve Smith at the other end was struggling initially. He was playing missing, but there was something about Steve Smith today. He was not talking very much to his partner. Even when there was little break, he was sitting there all by himself. He was like he was in a different world today. And DK, here's a guy who's averaging 56. He's come into the game without 120 odd innings, but he's a 56 average player with 33 hundreds. And he was scratching, but he was willing to scratch. He was willing to get beaten. He was willing to look for a single there. And I thought, I mean, the analogy I drew once when Tendulkar was going through a bad patch is that a millionaire was counting pennies today. You would understand that, okay, I won't go there again. But millionaires, you don't have to count pennies, but you'll understand what it is.
Harsha, these are the kind of knocks that give you a lot of satisfaction, Harsha.
Yeah.
If you see how he started the innings, that close call to Siraj, he could have many umpires would have probably given that out, got away with that, and then that's thin inside it that he got of Akashdeep. Small things that where he actually was in the middle of a good spell from Akashdeep. Siraj didn't trouble him as much, but Akashdeep asked a lot of questions, but he fought through it, Harsha. Sometimes I feel these are the knocks that kind of show the young boys who are watching or young girls who are watching the difference between good and great. They don't let their ability to play shots or their ego of having played so long and dominated at a certain level come in the way of it. On that day, it requires me to do this because I haven't got runs for some time now, and this is the method I'm going to employ. One of the greatest examples was Sachin Tendulkar not playing a cover drive in Sydney. We have spoken about it as well. Today was not a very similar day. It's not like Steven Smith refrained from playing any shots, but mentally he had to really push himself. And that's where I felt Rohit Sharma in turn helped him a little bit by giving those easy singles, because this was a day where he would have found it really harder if the singles weren't given away that easily. But credit to Steve Smith, he made it count today. And we all know the personality he is. He would have had many sleepless nights. He would have probably woken up somewhere in the middle of the night, taken the bat, did his stance, visualized how he's going to play against each bowler, gone back to sleep. And it is such a mental gruel that you'd go through, and I can completely understand how he would have felt in the first 3 test matches or the first 10 days of this test series so far. This will keep him at peace. And it's a scary thought, because when players like these get going, then they find a way to be very consistent. Let's hope as an Indian team it doesn't happen, but credit to him for the way he's played.
And you've got 2 test matches to go. This is the great thing about 5 test series. You can have a legend struggling. Midway through, he gets in. Now you don't know what he's going to do for the rest of the series. So, from an Indian point of view, watching Steven Smith, I think India would have admired the way Smith was going about it, even if the Indian fan would have wished it wasn't happening. Travis said India have got to find a way. One of the suggestions is that you bowl hard into his body, take him on, let us see if he wants to play the pull shot. India did that very briefly with a couple of fielders, one at deep square, one at long leg. He played one pull shot, and then the idea changed. But I'm hoping that by the time the next innings comes around, they would have found that. But one other thing hurt India, and that is what happened towards the end of the day. When Alex Carey came in, he's come into the series with tremendous form. And those 45 runs that he made and Pat Cummins is 20 will start to hurt India, because when you make 405 in the first innings, I know there have been results where teams have lost from 400, but that is the exception rather than the rule. Most times you make 400 runs in the first innings, you don't lose, you shouldn't lose. You only lose when you make 400 if your bowlers allow the opposition to make 550. And I don't think this is a 550 surface. So I think Australia have played themselves into a position of some safety. Whether they have played themselves into a position from which they can dominate this game, I don't know. But before we get into what is likely to happen tomorrow, just another little word on Bumrah. I know you mentioned about how much he had to bowl. He took the second new ball. Now, the second new ball is, DK, as you know, is never like the first new ball, because the batters are set and the bowlers are tired. And he made that second new ball count. I thought he was magnificent with the second new ball.
He's so special, Harsha. He is someone who is able to make the ball talk so much. In fact, there is this beautiful article written on Cricbuzz. Whoever is watching, I hope, goes and reads about it. The mastery of length. Such a lovely
Yes.
article, and it is such an underrated skill these days, purely because of the white ball formats. In white ball, you have to do exactly the opposite of what you're required in Test cricket. You need to have change of pace, you need to change your length, and you need to change your line. Test cricket is actually a lot about hitting the same length over and over again, or understanding the weakness of a batter and trying to exploit it, because you have a ball that can move and has a more protruding seam as well. And Bumrah has done all of that. So we constantly speak about, he has an awkward action. His release point is much ahead compared to other bowlers. He's got a very snappy wrist. But what is so skillful about him is how consistent he's been with his length, not only now from his Ranji Trophy days. He doesn't rely on a Yorker to pick a wicket. He's able to, if you saw Nathan McSweeney's wicket, proper ball on fourth stump. All the batter did was defend. Outside edge. Thank you. Taken by Virat Kohli at second slip. It is one of those pictures that you will always cherish as a fast bowler. And Bumrah keeps repeating that so often when there is something in it for the batter. And if there is nothing in it for the bowler, he still finds a way with all the other special kills that he has. Example, the Ollie Pope bowl that he got in Vizag. And he is someone who is able to think out of the box. But most importantly, if these conditions are good where he has to just lang the ball on length, he is able to do that and create enormous pressure on any batter in the world.
I think we've all of us have talked about Bumrah's action. All of us have talked about how it gives him an advantage, how he releases the ball a little bit in front, how people expect it to be shorter, how it comes quicker. All that is fine. People with unusual actions have played this game for the last 100 years. If someone has taken 190 wickets at an average under 20, today's time, an average under 20 is unthinkable. Then it has to be more than just the action. And I think we underestimate the quality of the thought process that goes into Bumrah. He often says, I'm good at sizing up situations very quickly. I'm sizing up of determining what lengths to bowl because he thinks a lot. And I think the greatest fast bowlers in the world have all been thinking fast bowlers. There have been a lot of tearaway fast bowlers. I'm not talking down to them, but I think Bumrah is very, very clever indeed. So we're lucky that there's a gem called Jasprit Bumrah residing here, but hopefully people will watch Bumrah and not see only the action, but will say, how did he start thinking situations and get there? Because the temptation is to do whatever the coach says. Bumrah said he never had a coach, so it actually benefited him. So we can talk about Bumrah next half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, whatever. But there you are. He has kept India in the match, maybe not from a point of view of winning, but definitely from the point of view of staying alive. But there's 3 days to go. It didn't rain today. The forecast was for 20-25% chance of rain up to 20 mm. It did not rain, but it was very muggy. What about tomorrow? Let's go fast forward. Forecast is not good for tomorrow up front. But for 2 days, we've had, even with all these radars, we've had a 20 milliliter, 20 ml of rain, what else? 20 cc, whatever. What do you call it? Suddenly I've forgotten what they measure rain in. 20 millimeters of rain, chalo. Transformed into what? 85, 90. And a possible rain day was a completely dry day today. Tomorrow, the 80% chance of rain. I'm only bringing this up in case there is a shortened game. Do you see this match differently, or are you still the kind who says, I have no control over rain, let me see what we can do tomorrow?
I think Australia will not think about rain for the moment. They'll just try and bat for as long as possible because that also gives them a better chance of, enforcing the follow on if there is a rain delay or whatever. And firstly, they have to get India all out as well. From an Indian point of view, has to be the fact that rain needs to go out of their mind and say, okay, we need to pick the next 3 wickets ASAP. And when we bat, we need the big boys to stand up, isn't it? It's one thing scoring 30s, 40s. We need somebody to do what a Travis Head has done, a 150, a 160. We've had these scores from some of those boys who are there right now in Australia, and we need them to stand up, and it has to come in Brisbane because otherwise, the one thing that they will be hoping for will be the rain.
From what you saw so far, I know Bumrah makes things look different. This is actually a track with very consistent bounce, not extravagant seam movement, and these are good batting conditions.
It is, Harsha. Look, Gabba has always been a great place to play if you know how to play the short ball. Because before the Optus Stadium, they said that the pitch was slowing down in Perth and Gabba was touted as the quickest pitch. And generally, it is one of those venues where as the game progresses, it gets quicker. It's a great play to play strokes as well. And that's why you see some good players come out there and score plenty of runs. It's not the smallest ground, but the one thing that you will get is value for shots and the fact that more often than not, you can use the bounce to your advantage. Now, there's not been too much swing or seam movement. These two things will help India. But the one thing that we have seen with India for some time now is the fact that their batting hasn't collectively come together to get that big run. And that they will need soon in this series for them to stay alive. Otherwise, it could be a very, very long few weeks for them.
I don't think India can afford to go to Melbourne 2-1 down. If India go to Melbourne 1-1, it's looking unlikely India will go to Melbourne 2-1 in India's favor. But if India can find a way to go to Melbourne 1-1 down, I think they're actually very much better off. But sometimes we start to think too far ahead. Let's think about tomorrow. My view is I think Australia will bowl slightly different lengths. Australia will bowl slightly fuller lengths. We saw the advantage of the pink ball in Adelaide. We might see the advantage of local conditions and bowling a little fuller. But we'll wait and see. Could not agree more with DK that you need someone to stand up and maybe make one or two hundreds. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. We'll see
And
you.
Harsha, I
We'll see you
want to
tomorrow.
ask you also, Harsha, what are you
Yo,
doing in your downtime, Harsha? In Wollongong Gaba.
అయ్యో Wollongong Gaba కాదు నాయన Wollon Gaba.
Wollongong Gaba.
WOLLLONGA. Wollon Gaba. Where is the downtime? Now it's already 7 o'clock. By 8:30, all the restaurants close. So I'm now running to catch some dinner somewhere. And I have to leave the hotel by 7:30. Some people have to work very hard for a living.
I
So
know where we're getting at.
I will let you be today. I will let you pass outside off stump. Though in your latest avatar, you never let any ball pass. But today I will let you pass.
We've
Actually,
been
we must look at since you reinvented yourself as this T20 finisher. I would like to see what percentage of balls you left, or what percentage of balls passed you. You would not have left even one. What percentage of balls passed you? It might be a good idea to check. I will ask some experts to check that tomorrow. Yeah, see you, and we'll see you. Today was a very satisfying day. If you're a test match lover, let's see what lies ahead on day 3. See you there.